So Fallout 4 finally got its next gen update. Well, some people got it, and other people got it, but they probably regret getting it. It's Sunday, so time to get sensational. I'm Mike, and we're back in video form for the gaming news this week. We did it live last week because my life turned into chaos for a minute, but we're back. Just like Fallout is back in everyone's minds, especially after the good buzz the TV show has. And with Fallout being at the forefront of people's thoughts, Bethesda recently did an update to its last mainline Fallout game for PC and consoles, which was Fallout 4, and that's basically to bring it to the next generation. And the update on console is basically adding a performance mode so it can run at 60 frames per second and at higher resolutions, along with a bunch of fixes like glitches and stuff and quest fixes. And the PC version is getting the same fixes as well as widescreen support. I don't understand how this took so long to get widescreen support. But anyway, the update is free for anyone who has the game. Well, unless you have the game through PlayStation Plus, there is currently no update available for Fallout 4 for those people who have that version. Now, the Game Pass versions on Xbox have received the update. It seems to just be the PlayStation Plus versions of the game that haven't. When this was initially reported, people thought it might have been intentional, since Microsoft owns Bethesda now and ZeniMax, its parent company. But now Bethesda has come out and said that they're aware of this issue and they're working on getting it resolved and basically getting that update to people who have the PlayStation Plus version of the game. So it looks like this is unintentional and the update should be available for PlayStation Plus versions of the game soon. Hopefully they didn't give an exact date. But for people on PC, a lot of them may not even want this update right now, as it's being reported that this new version of the game isn't compatible with all mods, causing save games for players previously using mods to become corrupted. One of the more popular mods affected is Phase, which that developer said they're working on fixes, but they do not have a timeline on when it will be available for the new version of the game. It's also reported in the PC Gamer article that the widescreen support on PC doesn't scale the UI properly and requires the user fix to work properly, which you had to do something similar to get widescreen in the original version of the game anyway. So yeah, if you're on PC, you might want to avoid this update for now, especially if you use mods. If you have the PlayStation Plus version of the game, well, you have no choice but to avoid it. But you do have a choice when picking consoles, and it seems like now a lot of people are picking up an Xbox right now. So it was reported in Microsoft's latest earnings call that Xbox hardware is down 31%, which is the biggest drop since the new console was launched in November of 2020. The article does point out that hardware sales are down across all three consoles right now. And like I mentioned when we were talking about layoffs in previous videos, the gaming industry in general is down revenue-wise. They've taken a hit. Now the Xbox did have the biggest drop out of the three consoles, but it's being reported that the gaming revenue is actually up 51%, and of course that's due to them buying Activision Blizzard. So while they are down hardware-wise, they are way up for software right now. Of course that will probably even out over time since they won't have this revenue boost from buying a massive company and adding it to their portfolio. Now the hardware portion is interesting because everyone is in a different place right now when it comes to hardware. Obviously, Nintendo with the Switch, it's just at the end of its life cycle and they're working on a new console anyway, which we'll talk about later in our final story. So their sales decline is expected. Sony seems to be handling this decline by possibly releasing a Pro console later this year. And Microsoft is basically like, look, our next system though, that's gonna be the biggest leap ever. I don't even know what that means still. But overall, considering that their strategy is more Game Pass and software based, I'm not too worried about the Xbox sales. I'm sure they'll be fine. But you know who else is taking more of a software approach? Meta. So they've been in VR for a long time. They bought Oculus back in the day. They've been making VR headsets for a while, with the latest being the Quest 3. But the return on VR revenue-wise probably hasn't been what they hoped it would be, as it's being reported that they've basically lost $1 billion a month on VR since June of 2022 and $45 billion total since 2020. Now Meta has responded and they said that they've invested a lot in VR projects and marketing, and these losses are expected right now while they're still trying to grow this platform. And one way that they're growing this platform, similar to Microsoft, is through software. So Meta has announced that they're opening up the Quest operating system, currently named Quest OS, to third-party companies. They're going to be renaming the OS to Meta Horizon OS, and Asus and Lenovo are early partners and they're already working on hardware for it, which isn't surprising considering that they both also hopped into the handheld PC market with the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go respectively. They're both branching out in the type of hardware they make, so having an OS with games already available will probably make it a lot easier of a choice for them to make a standalone VR headset, since they don't have to worry about developing their own software and then having developers port their games or make games for that hardware. Meta also mentioned they're working on a limited edition Xbox themed Quest. Now this probably isn't going to have any like Xbox VR games, it's probably just going to have Game Pass streaming, which they already have on the current headset, but at least maybe there'll be a cool color scheme. Now aside from that, they're also trying to get Google to bring their Google Play Store apps to the Quest, and this is probably to try to compete more with Apple and have more productivity type applications on their headsets. So they're talking about like the 2D apps, not necessarily the VR stuff, so that way you can access things like, you know, Instagram or whatever on the headset. Now, as someone who recently bought a Quest 3, I am pretty excited to see what comes of this. I'm hoping that this brings more continued interest to the VR space. Just like Nintendo is interested in removing 20-year-old content from Garry's Mod. They're not interested in VR. They did a little cardboard thing and that was it. So with the Yuzu situation happening recently, I know we talked about how protective Nintendo can be over their IP. And well, it looks like they're coming after Garry's Mod for content that in some cases have been up there for 20 years. So Facepunch Studios, the creator of Garry's Mod, put out a statement that they've received a bunch of DMCA takedowns from Nintendo for a bunch of content that they had that was infringing on their IP. It seems like some people were initially skeptical at first. They thought this wasn't actually Nintendo doing this since the content has been around for so long. It was speculated that it could be trolls doing fake DMCA claims, but Facepunch refuted this and they said that they've contacted Nintendo and confirmed that they did in fact issue those DMCA takedowns. They also said they're currently working on removing the content, but it's going to take a while since it's 20 years worth of stuff that was, you know, user created, so they have to go through all of it and figure out what's infringing on their IP. Now, I want to be clear that Nintendo has every right to request takedowns for content that infringes on their IP, but this one is weird because that content has just been around for so long. And plus, it's not like Garry's Mod had a resurgence in popularity all of a sudden people started playing it again. Its heyday is like way behind us. I mean, maybe it'll get a boost now in players because of this whole situation. And while I don't disagree with Nintendo, it's just a weird move to remove the content now. Just like you can remove the Joy-Cons on the Switch, and possibly the Switch too. Let's just go ahead and talk about it in our final story. So it's been a little while since we had any new Switch 2 rumors. The last time we talked about the Switch 2, it was about the release date. It got pushed to next year. Apparently it was supposed to come out this year, but now it's moved to March. But we have not had any new rumors about hardware. So up until this point, the rumors about the hardware is that basically it's going to be very similar to the Switch, but it may have an 8-inch display. But now we got some new rumors about the hardware, specifically about the controllers. So Spanish outlet Vendal claimed that they were able to see and touch through a display case the Switch 2 hardware, and they're claiming that the new Joy-Cons are going to attach magnetically instead of using the rails like the current Switch. They also claim that the system is bigger, but it's not as big as a Steam Deck. So if this is true, it would support the rumors that they may be going up to an 8-inch screen since it's overall bigger. It would also break compatibilities with the existing Joy-Cons, at least attaching them directly to the system. There's always a chance that they could still work, and the Pro Controller as well, via Bluetooth. So if this is true, then better be some strong magnets, because if not, I can see this being a disaster. To be fair though, it's not like the rails on the current Switch were amazing. But hopefully we'll get more details on the new system by the end of the year. But let me know how you feel in the comments. Are you excited about a Switch 2? Again, let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And always do at least 2 things at the same time.